One of the most important metrics that is typically looked at today is ceiling height. Some of the older buildings, let's say they may have been at one time residential buildings converted to office. It seems to me, I don't know this for a fact, that people were a lot shorter 80 years ago. And what we call the slab to slab, that's the concrete to the concrete, is a big limiting factor in some of the older buildings. Not all of them. Some of the old loft-style buildings have beautiful ceiling heights. But some of the sort of the 60s and 70s vintage office buildings, the landlords really tried to cheap out and build as little concrete as they could, because obviously if you build a foot or two less into every floor, the overall height of the building saves you some money in the hard cost. Kind of penny wise, pound foolish, but that's what they did. And when tenants hear that your building is an 8-foot clear height, let's say, underneath the ceiling tile, that's a real no-no. And if anything below 8 feet relegates it automatically to Class B. And in the mind of the broker, that's an old, out-of-date building. Now, one of the reasons for this was when raised floors became a big thing. If you had a raised floor and then you had a ceiling height of 8 feet, then you had no more space left. Now, raised floors are we're getting away from that computerization. We don't need what we call a raised floor, where all the wiring goes underneath the floor. But what we do want, what tenants do want, is the setup. I noticed that you have right in your office from our video chat, which is these open ceilings and the height. And there's one sort of hidden reason for that, and that's what I refer to as the sardinization of America that's going on. And that is that office workers are being squeezed into less and less space. They begin given smaller cubicles, or even working in bench locations where they're sitting side by side next to somebody. So whereas we used to think of one person per 250 or even 350 square feet, we're now seeing users going down to 150 square feet. And so that's really densifying the space. So if you have a very low ceiling height and you're jammed into the guy next to you, there was an old John Malkovich movie that was like this, where people were living in like half a ceiling space. Anyhow, you had to see the movie, but it was a pretty bizarre, one of these, surreal type of situations. But high ceilings are one of the key characteristics, and no matter how cool the building is, if you don't have that ceiling height, the brokers are going to negate that and price that down, and those buildings do suffer.